Ricky Carruth, who is quite a bit of a real estate innovator. He's a real estate coach and author. He's been in the business for a bit, has some great insight that he's going to share with us. Also on the call today, we have Jonathan Paul, who's our head of operations here at Radius Agent. Jonathan is an absolute rock star. He works behind the scenes to make sure that we're always running correctly and best practices. And Jonathan's also been in the real estate space for a bit, along with the tech space. So we're happy to meet with everybody today.
Yep, absolutely. I'm a licensed agent in Washington, but my shtick is kind of sales, marketing, and ops, and so help run that here at Radius. And excited for this event. It's the kind of first event in our Inspire series here at Radius, and we couldn't be more excited for our first guest speaker, Ricky Carruth. Ricky has been a top producing agent, $1 billion, I think, in total production over his entire career, and more recently, a published author and real estate coach. He has a program called Zero to Diamond. And Ricky, without further ado, would love for you maybe introduce yourself to everybody here and tell us a little about yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Good to see everybody. You guys look really hungry, eager to learn. And I'm happy to share anything and everything. As Jonathan said, I started coaching a few years ago, but I actually became the world's first completely free coach. I don't have a product or anything to sell you or anything like that. One reason I did that is because so that when I come to do little events like this, I don't have to really hold back any information. I can literally tell you every single little thing because I don't really have anything on the back end that I'm hoping that you'll pay for to get access to that information. I can just share everything with everybody. And so, when I first started coaching, I was charging. But then I ran into this problem where, I was having to hold back and it just wasn't me. So I'm an open book. I started selling real estate in 2002. Made $1 million really quickly, lost it all in the crash, went back to roofing houses, was sleeping in my car, worked on an oil rig for a year. Did a bunch of different jobs, served tables, cooked, all kinds of things. Got back in real estate in 2008, and I learned everything through the crash and eventually worked my way up to selling 100 properties a year as a single agent. I did that for 8 years in a row. I had me and one assistant, and we just crushed it. And through that, I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in Alabama for many years. And then I kind of got bored with sales and wanted to kind of share this different take on the business. So I wrote 2 books and started coaching for free. So that kind of brings us to today, right? So I kind of been on this journey of building a massive brand on social media. I tour around and speak. I've done about 30 different events since the pandemic opened back up mid last year. Half of them were my events, Zero to Diamond Tour. And I got plenty of speaking events coming up all over. So super busy. 2023 is going to be incredible, for agents, right? The way that interest rates and the flow of the market and the underlying demand and really no inventory is really kind of the perfect storm for an amazing year coming up. So looking forward to sharing all this with you guys today.
Right on. That's great. Thanks, Ricky. Let's unpack that a little bit more. You kind of mentioned, you just got into coaching, wanted to do Zero to Diamond. What was the catalyst there? It sounds like there was this kind of culmination thing, but what inspired you to be a coach? Like, how did you decide I want to share, what I know with everybody and give it away for free in particular?
Well, honestly, I kind of got, I was, let's just say that I understood the mainstream coaching platforms and kind of what most of them teach. And it was the exact opposite of how I operate. And I just felt that there was a need to kind of share this other perspective in the business, right? Like when I was the #1 agent in my county, right? I was one guy that was out selling every single team, every single agent and everything. And all my friends and family, whenever I said I'm going to start sharing my entire game plan, my entire playbook for nothing, local agents were looking at that, and, they were executing on it. And all my friends and family were incredibly mad at me for sharing all the secrets and stuff. But I was all in on the fact that business is unlimited, competition doesn't exist. And I knew what was going to happen out of that I would gain a lot of respect, a massive brand, and build billion-dollar businesses. And that's what's happened. I didn't lose a single client. I sold more property since I've done that, and gained massive amounts of respect and a massive brand. So I was kind of a visionary, I guess, when it came to that part of it. But you kind of have to be, right? And that it's the same thing when I became the #1 agent in the state. It was a visionary moment, because in 2008 and 9 and 10, there were so many foreclosures, and the agents that were representing banks, they were getting all the listings really effortlessly, right? They had created the relationships years before, and just listings were just falling in their lap, and they were making 30, 40, $50,000 a month, while the market was, from, the outside looking in, dead. And so these agents were just making so much money, and so many agents were so resentful. They were jealous of it. And I was sitting here saying, well, let me be a foreclosure agent. Then I went down that road and realized the work that went into that. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I said, but then it hit me. The foreclosure agents weren't answering their phone. You would call them and they would not answer their phone because they didn't have to. The bank was going to give them the listing. They submitted the offers basically virtually. The listing agent didn't have to talk to anybody. They just collected checks. So they didn't have any customer service, right? And then it hit me. I said, okay, the foreclosure agents, as foreclosures go away, are going to go away because they're not really building anything. They're just focused all in on foreclosures. When they go away, they're going to go away. I'm going to represent the buyers on these foreclosures, build those relationships so that when the market comes back, they'll resell with me, refer 3 friends to me, and then upgrade to something else. And every foreclosure I sell over the next 5 years, I'll actually close, 5 or 6 more deals out of it. And like, I was a visionary to the fact that I knew that going all in with buyers on foreclosures would get me to where I was the #1 agent in the area 4 years later. And that's what happened. So you really got to kind of look ahead and kind of visualize where we are and where you could be, and kind of try to put yourself a couple steps ahead of the market, to really do some big things. And then from there, it's just math. It's just, 1 + 1. And now it's time to execute once you have that visualization in place. So we can absolutely talk about that, because right now is the prime moment to visualize exactly how this is going to play out and how you can put yourself in the best position possible.
Yeah, let's absolutely dive in there, but I want to unpack a few things you just said. Like, you giving away your coaching for free. Like, one of the things that resonated with me there was, it's not about the idea necessarily, it's about the execution, right? Like, it's really important. Like, you're happy to share your ideas, and folks that execute are going to benefit from them. Kind of that non-zero sum game approach is great. And man, competitive advantage of answering your phone. I want to, my brother-in-law, I love that you're in roof. You used to be a roofer. My brother-in-law runs a roofing company, and he says it's a competitive advantage if I just pick up my phone and talk to clients. So never underestimate the power of just, providing great service and answering your phone. I love that. But let's dive into that last point you were making. In every difficult environment, there's always opportunity. You were just talking about getting a couple steps ahead of where the market's going and thinking about the next 2 years and kind of game planning. Where's the opportunity today to build a great business and separate yourself from the competition as an agent or a team?
Well, first off, it's not just down moments or recessionary moments. Every single moment is a massive opportunity, right? But some more than others. And right now is literally the cusp of let's look at it like this. If you are a real estate investor, you have to pay attention to the ebbs and flows of the market. Like you're right now, you're going to be kind of timid if you're an investor, if you're trying to flip a house, right? If you're going to buy a house to flip, you don't really know what that price is right now. You can't even price the property right this second. We're still, the dust is still settling from 7%. It's going to take the market a second to balance out for the 7%. But 3 months down the road, if you got to do some rehab and then resell, you have no idea really what that property's worth in 3 months. But as a real estate agent, it doesn't matter what that property's worth, because you're going to make a percentage of whatever the price is. That's the great thing about being a real estate agent, is that we don't have to worry about the same things that, say, investors do, right? And even mortgage brokers, right? Mortgage brokers right now, they're sucking wind. They're sucking some serious wind, but agents have the luxury of representing buyers and sellers, not just, buyers. And the ebbs and flows, through the market, it's as an agent, you can't lose. Number one. So the first thing you have to realize about just the market in general is the fact that closings never stop. So right now is literally as dead as it will ever be. I think that's something to really take note of for an agent. Again, investors, different ball game, but for agents, you have to realize right this second, when interest rates hit 7%, it's as dead as it's going to be, which should be an amazing relief for you, because closings are still happening by the truckloads. We're down, the data is so lag for real estate. We basically see data like, 60 days after, it's actually happening. So right now is probably worse than the data that just came out today, the pending sale data, which is down 30% from last year. The existing home sale data said that we're down transaction wise 23% from last year. Well, that's really the data that they're looking at from like 30 days ago. Our data for real estate, it's not like the stock market, it comes in so lag. But the good thing is this, that supply and demand, this is like economics 101, supply and demand. When demand comes down, prices come down to adjust, always. So prices are always going to adjust to a place where buyers are still willing to buy. And so you just have to realize that the market never stops. It's like Mother Nature. You can't stop it. Look at the pandemic, right? If you look at .com crash, 9/11, 2008 pandemic, during all those moments, if you go back in history and look at all those moments, there wasn't a single moment, and during the pandemic was the scariest economic moment in the last 100 years, let's say. 80% of the same amount of closings and 80% of the same amount of pending deals were happening. So during that no human-to-human contact situation, out of nowhere, with no one understanding what was going to happen next, people were still willing to close deals. Title companies and banks and agents were figuring out how to get the document signed and closed and ratified. And not only that, but buyers were making offers on property, sellers were negotiating and coming to agreements on stuff during that moment of complete shutdown where we're locked in our homes. That's incredible. And it just goes to show you how resilient the real estate market is. So as an agent, you just have nothing to worry about. Nothing really matters. This is what you need to do. You need to redefine your definition of results. Most people wake up January 1st and say, I want to sell, 50 properties or 100 properties. That's a dangerous game to play if you're putting so much weight on that, because you literally have no control over that end result transaction count, right? What you have control over is the amount of effort you're going to put into talking to enough people, connecting with enough people, remarketing to your database. You should create your goals around talking to as many people as you can, to help as many people as you can, to remarket to as many people as you meet. And kind of have your goals set around, okay, how many people am I going to talk to a day, right? How many people am I going to connect with per day, add to my database? What's my remarketing strategies, and so on and so forth? Because listen, when I was selling 100 properties a year, I got to where I understood this, and I didn't wake up January 1 and say, I'm going to sell 100 properties again this year. I woke up and, like, if I woke up December 31st with 50 deals, I would be just as happy as 100, because that wasn't the goal. The goal was to work as hard as I could And then how many ever deals came out of that as a byproduct is whatever the maximum, that's your full potential, right? That's your full potential. So right now with where the market is, every time if you see the interest rate come up, it takes the market a second to adjust to get to it. So when we went from 2.5 to 5.5, and then it stayed at 5.5 for a couple months, you kind of like it had that immediate shock, and then we got used to it. And then the market was rolling. Like I wish it would have stayed at 5.5 because like the market was just rolling. Prices were great for sellers, buyers were happy. It was a little less. They had a few more options. They didn't have to pay more than full price, and everybody was happy. Then when it hit 7, a week or so ago, we're in the same spot. It's going to take it a second to adjust. Every time you see the interest rate go up, you're going to see the market take a moment, take a step back, and make that adjustment. But then we're going to be rocking and rolling because the price is always going to come down to the point where buyers can buy. And the good thing about that is that buyers can buy.
Yeah.
So if you're always looking at your business on more of a long-term time frame, then because guys, I could care less, honestly. It's part of the puzzle, but I could care less how many deals you're doing this year. I'm more interested in how many people you added to your database and what your remarketing strategy looks like long-term. Because let's just say, for example, if you talk to 10 people a day, that's your goal, and you make 5 great connections, you really connect with 5 people, add to your database, right? 250 working days a year for 5 years, that's 6,000 people. Right? 6,000 people in the database getting a weekly email on the same day of the week forever with a 20-30% open rate. You're doing 50 to 100 deals a year. You know that's going to happen no matter what the market's doing. And so you can kind of eliminate the fear of what's happening in the market and just stay really focused on that 5-year goal, no matter what's going on with the market. And if you're talking to 10 people a day and making 5 new connections, you're going to be selling property because guess what? We are at like the 30-day ago data that we just got this week was 23% less transactions nationally, which is really should be taken with a grain of salt. It's the markets are so local. So you got some markets with less, some markets with 5% less or whatever, but the average is 23%. That was 30 days ago. It's going to be less right now as we speak. In real time, it's less than that right this second. But let's just say it's 30% right now. That means 70% of the same amount of deals are happening from last year to this year. That is a lot of transactions, guys. That is a lot of transactions. So we can't sit around and, say, oh, listen, here's the strategy right here for right now. This is what you need to do. Your buyers who can't afford because of interest rates now, go get them pre-approved for the maximum amount that they can get, and go house hunting and start making lowball offers, because the sellers are going to have to sell for what a buyer can pay. That's the market value now. Things are worth what somebody's willing to pay. And if interest rates made that price different, so what we're going to start seeing is sellers who don't have to sell, who say, well, I'm not going down that low, I'm going to take it off the market. And you're going to see sellers who say, I got to sell, I'm going to take this because it's my only option. This is the new market we're in. And then it only takes one sale in a subdivision and one low sale to reduce the appraised value of all the other homes in that subdivision, and that's your new comp. So you guys need to be very proactive and not say, well, my buyer can't afford anything anymore, and then just kind of just let that buyer go. Re-engage with that buyer, see exactly what they can get it pre-approved for. They get approved for $350 at this 7% interest rate. Go make offers of houses that are asking $425 and $450. Make that $350 offer, show them the pre-approval and say, this is all we can afford because of interest rates. Take it or leave it kind of thing. Now you might have to go out there and make 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 offers to find a seller that will actually work with you on that. But that's no different than last year when you had to, you wrote offers on 7 houses and lost 6 of them because of multiple offers, and then you get the 7th one. We're really in the same boat, just reversed right now, in my opinion. And I think you should be proactive, because what you're going to see is buyers start to get these deals lower, and that could have been your buyer. But since you weren't willing to go out there and make those offers to get the ball rolling, and you weren't proactive, then you're just going to be sitting on the sidelines. The next thing you need to do is when you're prospecting and talking to, whoever you prospect, Expire, Circle Prospecting, even your internet leads, social media leads, whoever your prospects are, at the end of every conversation, once you've asked them about, what they're looking for, if they're looking to sell, if how they're doing, all this stuff, you need to say, listen, let me ask you this before I let you go. Would you be interested in really good deals on rental properties? And find out if they see there's this different breed of buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for the market to come down. There's this whole underlying like group of people that you're not going to recognize any of their names because they've been sitting on the sideline for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years waiting on the market to come down. And they're going to come out the woodworks as prices do reduce to these interest rates. And you want to be the one to have those guys girls on your list as people who are interested in great deals on rental properties. Right. And so if they say, yeah, I'd love a great deal, I'd like, yeah, keep me in mind on that. Cool. What exactly do you like? Single family, multifamily, commercial, duplex, fourplex? What kind of, investment rental properties are you into? And like literally stack your list of investors. And then when they tell you their criteria, call those subdivisions. Say, hey, I got a buyer. And then let your buyer make a lowball offer on that property when that seller says, I'll look at an offer. And if they don't take it, go list the property. Dude, there's so much stuff you could be doing right now. But the biggest takeaway, I think, is 5 new friends a day in your database every day for 5 years equals 6,000 people, weekly email on the same day of the week forever, right? And build that brand up to the point where when you hit 6,000 weekly email, you're selling 50 to 100 properties a year with zero prospecting anymore. You don't have to go prospect anymore for that. You're going to sell those properties just out of the database.
Yeah, I love that, Ricky. In my operations world that I come from, it's inputs lead to outputs. And what you're saying is actions lead to outcomes. And I think that's one of the critical takeaways for folks here today. We'd love to kind of unpack that a little bit further too. You were just kind of diving into it. I know you started a 75-day challenge where you wake up, you work out, you read, you drink water. Talk about like building these good habits and making sure that you're executing on these things every single day. So how do you go about getting those kind of 5, potentially new prospects to call, and how many calls, should you be making a day? Or like, what are those good habits and routines for a real estate agent to make sure that they do every single day?
So the 4 keys to long-term success, right? There's 4 of them. And it's if you're missing one of them, it's not going to work. First thing, you got to believe 100%. If you don't believe, if there's 0.0001% of you that doesn't believe or isn't confident about your success here, then it's not going to work because people are going to hear it in your voice. The second thing is working hard. If you don't believe and you don't work hard, not going to work, right? Past working hard is adapting, right? Which means learning, which means making a lot of mistakes, learning from those mistakes, reading a lot, listening to podcasts and collaborating with people who are doing bigger things than you, stuff like that, and really becoming that better version of yourself, and then letting that bleed over into your daily actions. The 4th thing is the part that hardly anybody actually has, and that's patience. So there's 4 things: believe, work hard, adapt, and then be patient. So for so long, I never not believed. I always believed. I always worked hard. I grew up roofing houses, laying shingles when I was 12 years old. And I was always pretty decent at, you tell me something once and I got it, and adapting and learning how to do things. My problem, I didn't realize it, was patience. When I hit 600,000 back in 2014, I wanted to make $1 million the next year. So I put together this massive, incredible business plan to hit the ground running January 1st to go out and make $1 million. And by like March, I realized I'm going to make 600 again. And I became very frustrated. Depressed isn't real. I wasn't depressed. How can you be depressed making 600K? But I was really frustrated. Like, what's wrong with me? And then it took me some real like self discovery and collaboration. And like I'm telling you guys, to realize that I was doing all the right things. I just wasn't patient enough. So it took me to 2017, right? 2 more years after that, I actually hit the million. But I was doing all the right things. I just wasn't patient enough. You got to have that last little key, past all that. Like, listen, if one of you, anyone isn't successful or as successful as you want to be, I can have a quick little 5-minute conversation with you, and I can tell you which of these 4 things you're missing. Because it comes down to either you're not really believing, you're not really working hard, you're not adapting, or you're just not patient. Or maybe it may be a multiple of one of these things, right? But nevertheless, back to daily habits, like once you understand those key philosophies and then you really engulf yourself into that and you've got those 4 things down, then you can kind of back into, okay, for me, my daily habits have to revolve around what I want my 5-year self to look like. And that's another problem. Anyway, I'm like, people they're like, I want to I want to sell this much property this year or whatever. How do I do that? Or what should I be doing? Well, what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen in 5 years? What does your 5-year business and life look like? And most people don't really know. And so then it becomes a thing of, well, I don't know exactly what we need to be doing day to day because I don't know where we're going. Same thing with a buyer or a seller, guys. Listen to this and really take this in for a second. When you're talking to a buyer or a seller and they indicate that they would like to buy or sell something either now or in 6 months from now or a year from now or 2 weeks from now, it doesn't matter. When they indicate that they want to do something, the next question should be digging into the discovery of why they're looking to buy or sell. A lot of agents will cold call a seller and the seller will say, call me back in 3 months. I'm going to sell. I'll sell. I might sell in 3 months. Call me back then. And the agent's like, all right, cool. I'll call you back then. And they kind of get off. And now we don't know what we're doing because a lot of agents will say, how do I follow up with this person that wants to sell in 3 months? Well, why do they want to sell? Well, I didn't ask them that. Well, until I know why they want to sell, right? Is their daughter graduating college in 2 months and they got to downgrade or upgrade? Do they want to close in 3 months or start the process in 3 months? What is going on? I have to know all these details before I can really dig into what our next steps are in the follow-up process to convert this person. So it's the same thing with your daily actions. If you don't know where you're going or why you're going there, then we don't really know what we need to be doing on a day-to-day. So I just want to throw that out there because when you talk about daily actions, there's all kinds of generic stuff out there. Like, here's what you should do in a perfect day on this, that, and the other. But it's different for every person. Every person has a customized, perfect routine. But with that being said, let me step back and give you the generic perfect day, I believe, for an agent. The 75 hard is, you wake up, you drink a gallon of water every day, you work out twice, once inside, once outside. You're on a diet that you have 0 cheat meals for 75 days and no alcohol. So I quit drinking alcohol, 2014, but that's a 75 hard now. And you read. So for me, when I would take you through my day as far as my morning routine, and then I'll tell you what agents should be doing daily. All right. I wake up at 5 and I read for 30 minutes. I read a book for 30 minutes. Then I go to the gym, right? Work out for an hour and a half, inside lifting, outside running. And then at 8 o'clock, somewhere around there, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to study my business for a good 15 minutes or so. I'm going to make a list of everything I have going on, follow-ups, projects, my schedule for the day. I'm going to go through all my emails and make sure everything is like tightened up where I know everything about my business before I even start executing, right? Now, agents, you should be making calls from 9 to 12 every day, just on the phone the whole time. Calling who? We can talk about that, but you should be on the phone from 9 to 12 every day. And then after lunch, create content for the rest of the day. Create content, engage on social, follow up with people, so on and so forth. Do all your marketing stuff, SEO, if you write blogs, postcards, letters, all that stuff. So you're hand-to-hand combat, you're in the field, you're doing your one-on-one conversations that you got to have to talk to those 10 people, to create those 5 new friends, to put in your database in the morning, knocking that out early. And in the evening, create.
I love that. That's great. What you were just talking a little bit ago about when you get a buyer or seller on the phone, asking really good questions, and I think like listening really well. What you've talked about with Zero to Diamond, it's a communication platform. It's learning how to communicate. So I'd love for you to kind of unpack that a little bit more. How do you build that muscle, maybe if it doesn't come naturally to you, to be a good communicator? And then how much of that is just being a really good listener and asking good questions as well?
Yeah, so this is the biggest thing for me, because at the end of the day, I could care less where you get your leads from. It doesn't matter if you call property owners or expires for sale by owners, Zillow, Opsity, where you get your leads. My thing is are we getting enough leads, and how are we communicating with these leads? So that's where I step in. How are we communicating with our prospects? And forever, if you go to the traditional mainstream coaching scripts, they're all focused around what the prospect can do for the agent, right? And you probably never thought about this, but those scripts are designed to figure out if they're going to sell. And if not, then how to handle the objection to get them to sell, right? It's straight garbage. Those should all be taken out behind the barn and shot and burned in a barrel and forgotten about forever, because that's not it. That wasn't even the thing back in the day. But the real estate coaches saw an opportunity to take advantage of new agents who 90% fail, who are desperate to succeed. So let's high pressure them into this coaching program, so then teach them how to high pressure prospects, right? However a coach sells you on their program is how they're going to teach you to sell your prospects. If it's uncomfortable on the front end, it's going to be uncomfortable for you on the back end. And agents do exactly what their broker and coaches tell them to do and wonder why they didn't make it, because on the inside, the agent cares about the client. They're hardworking, they're honest, dependable, but that's not what's articulated in the conversation. What's articulated is, hey, Mr. Seller, you don't know me and I don't know you, but will you sell your house so I can make some money? I'm just another real estate agent. Even though that's not who that agent is. The agent got in the business because they care about people and they're hardworking, but that's not how they're communicating, because they're being taught how to communicate this other way, which is designed to just try to get deals. And that's the exact opposite of the way that you should be. Instead, what I do is I try to teach agents not how to figure out what the client can do for the agent, but what for the agent can do for the client. And so for me, it's not about, will you sell your house? I'll talk to prospects and they'll get on the phone and they'll say, they'll find out I'm an agent and they'll say, I don't want to sell. I'm like, good. It's a good thing that's not what I'm calling about, ma'am. And so it turns into I just want to know what you do want to do so that I can help you do it. So when I hear objections and rejections and stuff, that you guys have a different definition of what that is and what it really is. An objection or a rejection is not an objection or a rejection in the traditional sense. What those moments are is your prospect telling you what they want to do. They're not made to try to combat and flip them around and turn them into something that the prospect is telling you straight up they don't want to do. It's made to listen to them about what exactly it is they do want to do and then help them do it. So I've got a real 180 spin on the entire process of communication with your prospects, in which I'm trying to gain trust and rapport and credibility and let them know, listen, whether you want to buy or sell or not, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to help you do whatever it is you're trying to do. The reason I sold so much property is because I never walked into a situation. After a while, after I learned this, I quit walking into situations trying to get people to buy or sell or caring if someone buys or sells a property. I actually talked a lot of clients out of selling many times. And they're like, wow. And then guess what? I got 4 or 5 deals out of that 6 months later. Not that that's the reason I did it. I do these things. And that's another fine line is, are we just pretending like we care to get deals, or do we really care? See, that's the next frontier here as well. Are we just doing this to get the deals because we know that's how you get deals? Or you actually see, when you go to that all the way level where it's all about them and trying to help them, that's where you've reached a level of mastery when it comes to, I don't want to say like the highest levels of mastery, but you've reached some kind of level of mastery when you completely let go of what's in it for you and literally open up to what is in it for them and how can I help them and how can I use my real estate services to help these people. So I think of myself as a volunteer worker. Now I'm doing this for free right now. I coach tens of thousands of agents for free. Like I'm practicing what I preach, and this is exactly how I built my real estate business. And so when you take what you can get out of the equation completely out of the deal, it really opens you up to learning more about people because they can hear that in your voice and they just open up to you. Now they're telling you everything on the back end of their life, and you're able to really tap in. And this is what creates lifelong loyal clients forever. So something to realize is that there's an unlimited amount of lifelong loyal clients for each and every agent everywhere. And when you say lifelong loyal, those are people that will never, ever use another agent and always refer you. So in your database, you've got different groups of people. You've got the lifelong loyal people, right, group. And then you've got the group of people who might use you, they love you, they might use another agent if they run into a deal, they might come back to you or whatever. Then you've got the group of people in your database that love you, love your content, but they never use you. They have a relationship already with someone else. Then you have the group of people who just don't like you at all, right? But there's this little core group in there of loyal clients that will never use another agent. And you can build that as big and as large as you want to. But the problem is that we haven't put the work in to filter through the population and have the amount of conversations we need to find the people who do love us to the ends of the earth, right? We kind of give up, and we kind of stop visualizing the 5 a day that gets to 6,000 in 6 years and 5 years to get to that type of business. But I could go on and on about the core principles of just communication with people, behind your intentions, the tone of your voice, speed of the voice, your breath, listening to them. It's a lot of, you go through the stages of communication where you're kind of scared to do it. Then you do it and realize it's not going to kill you. Then you're like, okay, let me do this. Then you go through, okay, let me figure out what to say. Then you go through the stage of, okay, I got to know what to say now. How do I say it? Then you get to the stage of actually using it to create dilemmas that requires your prospect to respond. And you're doing that in a way just to listen to how they respond. Like, for example, my script, it's this is deep stuff. It's not like when you look at most scripts, just a surface level, nothing is what it is. It's literally it should just be a blank piece of paper. There's nothing really there. But if you really understood the psychology behind what I do, it's like as soon as they answer, I'm like, Miss Johnson, that's a question. Miss Johnson, I'm looking for a response. I'm trying to hear how she responds to that. Yeah, Miss Johnson. Hey, Miss Johnson, Ricky Carruth, local real estate agent here in Gulf Shores. How you doing today? Okay, how you doing today? It's a question. I'm looking for a response here. I'm trying to get some data. How's she feeling? How fast is she talking? How's she breathing? Right? Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. How about you? Oh, me too. I'm enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous? That's a third question. Before I even get to anything, I've asked 3 questions. And they're all designed because I'm listening. Once I get 3 reads on someone, it's over. I know exactly how this conversation is going to go, where I'm going to take it, and where it's going to end up. You know what I mean? So it all comes from serious commitment to practicing this for years and years and years. You know what I mean?
Totally. That's great. You were touching on this a little bit ago. You kind of said, hey, I can teach you some methods for growing your database. Let's say you're just getting started. You're relatively new. You don't have a big sphere. You don't have a big DB. What are some creative ways, instead of paying for leads, maybe on Zillow or whatever, to kind of generate and grow your database? Obviously getting out there and meeting people, but any other methods that you might recommend for just, finding property owners, or you're getting people to call that might be part of your database in the future?
Yeah. So like I said, I think the most dangerous agents are the ones who understand old school and new school, right? Traditional and modern. And that's why I was such a dangerous agent, because when I started in real estate, there was no social media. I literally had to do everything: phone calls, letters, and emails. That was it. That's all we had. And I built the monster business that I had with that. Then I got into social media. Now look at what I'm doing on social, and I understood both sides of it. And I think, you know, agents who, use old school phone calls, letters, emails, that's great. They can crush it. People that just use social, that's great. They can crush it. But if you got an agent that understands both and utilizes both old school and new school, now you are the most dangerous type of agent out there, because you're really hitting everything from all ends, right? And so when you're making your calls in the mornings, I think you should maybe start out with any of the social media leads that you got the day before when you were working that social media in the afternoon. You may have called them in the afternoon when you were working them, calling them and their way Monday or I mean Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when you start your call session, it's like a fresh call session to property owners, expireds, circle prospecting, for sale by owners, whatever your thing is. But I've always used RedX. Right, RedX GeoLeads, you just pick a subdivision. GeoLeads Plus is like $120 a month. They give you 7,500 property owners of your choice. So think about that for a second. Let's see what that ends up being. Let's see. 120 bucks divided by 7,500. That's 16 cents. That's 1.6 cents. So it's like 1.5 cents, let's say. All right. So you have a 10% pickup rate. So for 15 cents, you're talking to someone that you picked. The property, you picked the exact subdivision. For 15 cents, you're talking to a property owner. As opposed to spending $100 on Zillow for a random person in your market's contact information. Think about this. In 2021, there were 200 million buyer leads sold. 200 million, right? 200 million, right? You guys remember there were 6 million transactions, right? There's 200 million buyer leads sold to real estate agents. It's a big business. And there's 350 million people in the US. You take out babies and teenagers, and they literally sold every single person's contact information in the country. And you could just got them for 1.6 cents and called them yourself for nothing, right? So if you talk to someone for 15 cents, and then if 1 out of 2 people you talk to, you have a great conversation with, right? That's 30 cents. Great conversation, 30 cents. Let's say you're horrible on the phone and it takes you 3 times as many calls to have a great conversation. You're at 90 cents. You're still under $1 here for a great conversation with the exact person you wanted to do business with. You pick the subdivision, you pick the price point, you pick the exact houses that you want to talk to. Let's say you're horrible and it takes you 3 times as much as somebody who is decent. You're still looking at under $1 per relationship created that goes in your database. Now, this is sweat equity, right? You got to sit there and dial. And that RedX has a dialer. It's an auto dialer. Boom. You can just, flow through the numbers and just get the people that talk. That's what I did. That's how I built my entire business, was just circle prospecting the properties I wanted to sell, becoming friends with the owners, building my name, building my database, building my brand. Weekly email is a wrap.
Yeah. Suppose you have a really good conversation with somebody you just kind of cold called, right? You didn't know. What's like a lightweight ask at the end of that call? Like, what's the next step? In my mind, when we have a sales team, I'm always like, get that next step or whatever it might be. It's like, hey, can you mind if I stay in touch with you and follow up with you in 3 months? Like, what's like, what would you recommend for if somebody's not quite ready today, but you want to continue to stay in touch with
them? Miss Johnson. Hey, Miss Johnson, Ricky Carruth here, local real estate agent, Gulf Shores, Alabama. How you doing today? Cool, me too. I'm enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous? Great. Well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but there was a house right around the corner from you that just sold. Didn't know if there's anything in the world that I could do for you today. No? Cool. Listen, if you were to do something, is there an agent that you would work with? No? Well, hey, listen, I'm sure you're going to do something at some point in the future. Listen, I would love the opportunity to work with you when that day comes. Would it be all right if I just stayed in touch with you? Cool. What's a good email for you? Is this your cell phone? Great. Listen, again, my name is Ricky Carruth, local real estate agent here at whatever company. I'm going to stay in touch with you here. If there's anything you ever need, you feel free to reach out to me whatsoever, even if it's to help you move a piece of furniture or something. You have you a good all day. And so that is a just baseline of a script that, listen, I collected data, their responses. I told them, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm respecting their time. I'm giving them market data. Here's a house that sold. And then I'm just simply saying, anything I can do for you? Not trying to get you to buy or sell. Just want to know, is there anything I could do for you? Right. And if not, is there an agent you would work with? Cool. If there is an agent that they would work with, I'm like, cool, who is it? I might know them. And then whoever it is, even if I don't, I'm like, that is a great agent. You're in incredible hands. Listen, I would still love to stay in touch with you if that's okay. Cool. What's a good email? Is this your cell phone? And so you always ask if it's okay to stay in touch with them before you ask for the email. Because a lot of agents will just ask for the email. Never, listen, two things you never want to do. Never say, I'm calling the subdivision. You know, I'm calling all the neighbors, I'm calling all your neighbors, or I'm calling everybody in your subdivision. That tells them that they're on this list of people you're calling and they're just another number. Nothing personalized about that. Never say, hey, I want to add you to my email list, or I want to start sending you my market reports. They're getting 5 or 6 horrible market reports that suck, that they hate every single week or month already. They don't want another one. But if you say, hey, I just want to stay in touch with you personally, right? I want to stay in touch with you. Cool. What's a good email? Right. And you ask them if it's okay to stay in touch before you ask for the email, and you get them to give that verbal confirmation. It's a lot easier for them. You're going to get the email a lot more times than not. So again, yeah, there's a lot of philosophy. Dude, I made 100,000 calls in my career, cold calls. And this is something I developed. This is specific to Ricky, as far as my scripts and the systems and stuff like that. And so it's all focused around what I can do for the client, not what the client can do, you know, for me. But again, listen, scripts are just give you kind of a roadmap of different avenues that you can take. You know, you want to take advantage of any moments in the conversation that you can veer into a totally different subject, you know, because once you get them talking, then they're feeling comfortable with you. Right. And that's the whole name of the game, is for them to feel comfortable with you. Your entire goal when you call someone, right? The number one objective, the number one goal is just for them to be comfortable with you. And the only way that they're going to be comfortable with you is that you're comfortable with them, and you're comfortable in this weird, awkward, you know, stranger conversation. You've got to get comfortable in those situations before they're going to start to feel comfortable. Because if you're not comfortable and you're throwing red flags with your tone and your body language, then they're going to think, what's going on here? And one little thing is going to give them a red flag, and then we're going to want to abort the situation. Now, just to give you another insight, the fact that they answered the phone, okay, is hugely positive, because if they were too busy, they wouldn't have answered a phone call, someone that they didn't know the number to. We get so many spam calls and all that. People are accustomed to not answering it, right? If they're busy or what, when they answer the phone, they're not answering hoping for a negative outcome. They're answering the phone hoping that you bring them some kind of value and there's some kind of positive result here. So just the fact that they answer the phone, they're giving you an opportunity to show them who you are. They're begging you to be a real person, right? And when they become angry or mad or you know, have a negative reaction, please understand that 90% of the times that happens, it's your fault. You gave them some kind of weird, awkward, nervous, unconfident reason to feel that way about you, because they didn't answer the phone hoping that you're some weirdo. they hope to answer the phone hoping that you're going to be a positive influence in their life. So realize that the people that answer, man, that's a good sign right there that they answered, and you need to play off that positivity and keep that going.
Man, that was awesome. That script, it looks like resonated with a lot of folks. Just kind of the roadmap you provided. Hey D, want to tee you up? You got any questions for Ricky? And then we can take some questions from the audience as well. If you guys actually wouldn't mind putting them into the chat, that would be awesome.
Ricky, you've got a lot of valuable insight to share. When you're talking about consistency and accountability, that's everything in a day-to-day. What are some things you did on a daily basis to hold yourself accountable?
Listen, man, honestly, if accountability is one of those things, you gotta be oh man, how do I say this? Like you just gotta want it. I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words, but shoot, accountability is something that I don't know. Like if I need somebody to tell me that I need to go to work, then something's wrong right there. Okay, guys. Nobody's ever had to tell me I need to go to work or tell me I need to make calls or hold my hand to do this, do that. None of that stuff. I'm gonna show up earlier than everyone. I'm gonna work harder and longer than everyone every day because I want it. If you don't have that drive in you, it's hard for like I can't go do it for you. I can tell you how to do it. I can give you the step-by-step blueprint of how to go make $1 million, but I can't go execute for the 3 to 5 to 8 to 10 years it's going to take to get there. And you're the only one that can go out there and execute and make the calls and do the things. That's it. You're the missing piece. Agents come in the business, leave the brokerage, blame the brokerage, join a team, leave the team, blame the team leader, go to another brokerage, fail over here, fail over there, fail over here. When are you going to wake up and say, it's me? I'm the reason I'm not succeeding. Winners will crush it at every single brokerage. Every single brokerage I was at, I crushed it. And there were some, there was brokerages I was with that didn't give any support or help me or do anything. Dude, winners don't care about none of that stuff. They're going to go win, period. Dude, there's too many agents succeeding. If you can't open up your eyes and say, oh my God, there's thousands of agents who are crushing it that are far less skilled and talented than I am, then, anyone can do this business. Anybody. That's what blows my mind about the 90% who fail, because it's literally unlimited for every single agent. It's just a matter of, are you willing to work for it? You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. The accountability thing's tough for me, man. If people aren't willing, if people need somebody to call them to tell them and make sure they're doing what they need to do, then we open up a whole different set of issues.
And I'll tell you, you sit in that rare breed. So, it's difficult for people to be self-motivated, right? We all know that. And I had a quick question for you. So when you're making those calls, do the people that the missed calls, the ones that you didn't get in touch with, do those folks call you back?
Sometimes. So I think of voicemails as a personal branding tool. That's just another piece of the personal branding puzzle, where I'm always going to leave a voicemail so people hear my voice, hear my name, what company I'm with, and all that stuff. And some people will call me back or whatever. I'm not banking on any of that. I could care less. Listen, just think about wherever you are and think, okay, how many households are in your market, right? Let's just say in my market, I probably have, let's just say 100,000, I'm in a small market. 100,000, right? How long would it take me to call 100,000 households? Well, I did it over a 15-year period. And I didn't even call all the households, honestly, because, people change their minds every 5 minutes. Like if you're in a population of 7,000 people and you call through that 7,000 people in say 6 months or 7 months or something like that, here's what you have to do. If you want to capitalize on every single deal, let's say that you as an agent, you want to do every single deal that's closing, right? The reason why that is impossible is because you as an agent would have to talk to every single person in that market, that geographical market, every single day. You would have to be in tune personally with what's going on in their life with every single person in your market every day. Because even if today they don't want to sell, well, tomorrow they do. And so you would have to be in tune with every single person. That's why this business is so massive and you can't get to every single deal. And there's so much room for as many agents that want to join the business, because it's just mass. It's just, and you can't think of it on a year by year basis. Oh, well, there's 4.7 million transactions this year divided by the 1.6 million agents. There's only so many. No. How many relationships we built this year is going to dictate our closings for next year and the year after and the year after. Like, I'm not looking at things on a 1 year basis and dividing by how many agents. I'm thinking about how many relationships are available in the market for each agent, right? And the fact that you could actually have several agents who have a relationship with the same prospect. You can even overlap where then the prospect has to kind of decide which agent they're going to be with. It's such an unlimited, it would be like trying to drink the ocean or trying to swim to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, it's just never going to happen.
Absolutely. So, Ricky, if you could give the group 2 takeaways about what they could do today to get in action through the fourth quarter and impact their.
D, real quick, we got one question from Rooms over there, and I want to get Jafehi in. Hey, Chris, can you tee up Jeff? Let's see if this can work. Give us a second. Working in the background.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you so much for all the quick questions. I've been in coaching programs in the past regarding these.
I can't hear him.
Calling people. I'd like to focus more on building the rapport.
Can y'all hear him?
Because I was always taught to kind of get to the point quickly. And maybe that's why the conversion rate was relatively low with cold calls on places like RedX and elsewhere. So if I wanted you to like kind of comment a little more on the small talk with like the weather, the neighborhood, the area before you go in for are you open for offer type question.
No idea what he said.
All right, so he went. Can you hear me? Can you hear me speaking currently?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So his question was, can you speak more so to what you kind of do when it comes to small talk, and in between when you're doing cold calling? Did I get that right, Jeff?
Yeah, basically, because I was always told just go right to the point. Like the reason I'm calling is blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, when you go right to the point, see, that's what they're expecting. So when you call and say, hey, I'm an agent, and then you go right to the point, they're like, yeah, I knew it. He's talking real estate stuff and, like try and here's the thing too. I would just imagine that you've never tried to have small talk in the beginning, right? And so we're basically talking about something that you have no idea what the results could be or how great of a tool this could be in your tool belt when you're making calls, because most people kind of do have a block up. And when you can kind of start to beat that down a little bit if you kind of ease into it, and everybody can relate with the weather. But I mean, it could be, how was, we're doing good. How was your Thanksgiving, right? It could be talking about you getting ready for New Year's. How was your Christmas? How about them Bears? How about them Saints? Whatever. Something to break the ice there, right there. And it's always a really short statement and a really short question. It's got to be boom, boom. You see, it's like, I'm enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous? Right? A statement and a question really quickly right there, just to try to judge them a little to create a response. It's like, man, I'm enjoying this day. Isn't it gorgeous? Like, oh man, it is a beautiful day. Then it's like you hear the block come down a little bit, and they want to kind of, and sometimes you'll end up talking about the weather for like 2 or 3 minutes with them. What it did yesterday, what it's going to do, is it going to rain? You wouldn't believe the conversation I got into people about the weather. It's a tool that's made. Remember, I've got several questions at the beginning that's designed just to see how they respond so that I can collect that data to see how I want to really approach this conversation. When you're not using that, you don't have any data. If you're just saying, hey, this is Ricky and I'm just calling because a house, we listed a house and want to see if you want to sell your house, I don't have any data to go by with them. I'm lost. I don't know where to go in the conversation because I don't know really I haven't heard how they're talking. I haven't heard the speed, the tone. I haven't heard their breath. I don't really understand their body language. You can hear their body language on the phone. So I'm using these moments to collect data on how my prospect's feeling and where I can take this conversation. And when I dive right into the subject matter of me trying to sell their house, I'm losing the battle. I have no idea what's going on with them. And now I'm asking them basically to, sell their house or something. And, there's no rapport, there's nothing, right? I want to create something. So listen, a lot of coaches, and there's definitely the other side that think, hey, no small talk. Don't ask them how they're doing. Just get right to the point. And that's what they want and stuff like that. I've heard that side of it. And look, people do that and they sell properties. Everything works. You got to figure out what works best for you. This is what works best for me is trying to collect data, have real conversations, and understand what's going on with them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, we are at the top of the hour, Ricky, man. I can't thank you enough for joining us. Is there any closing thoughts you want to share with the group?
The biggest thing for me, guys, is that you think extremely long term and just focus on the little day-to-days of just 5 new people in your database every day that you've never talked to before. And then have that weekly email in place, a weekly email on the same day. I've sent a weekly email every Wednesday since 2007. By 2017, when I made that $1 million in that year, I quit prospecting altogether and made $1 million every year since, just from the weekly email. No social, no prospecting, no follow-up, no nothing, just weekly email, referrals, repeat people, referrals of referrals. And I continue to make a mill. So there's light at the end of the tunnel for the prospecting. It's not like you guys are setting yourself up where you have to prospect till the day you die if you want to continue making the amount of money you want to make. That's not true. You prospect till you're making the amount of money you want to make. And then if you're remarketing to all the people you talk to during that 5-year period correctly, then you don't have to prospect anymore because none of those people ever forget who you are. And now you're just rolling. And listen, when you get to that side of the business, people aren't interviewing 3 agents. They're calling one agent, you, because they've already dealt with you on a deal, or they got referred by somebody on a deal, or referred by, and they're not interviewing 3 agents. They're calling you. They want you to handle it. And you're just an order taker. You're just servicing deals now. You're not even, there's no prospecting. There's no nothing. You're just servicing and you're just closing and you're just collecting checks and taking care of people. So just try to have the long-term in mind. Visualize it. Like I told you from the beginning, I visualized it to be number 1. I visualized how the free coaching thing was going to go. You guys need to visualize how you can really crush it through this market as it changes. Next year is going to be incredible because prices are going to adjust. It's going to bring new buyers that we haven't seen for years out of the woodworks. So start making your list of investors and people that want to buy when the market comes down. Don't be scared to get your buyers pre-approved and get out there and make lowball offers on listings right now that have been sitting on the market for 82 days with 2 showings. But yeah, I think I said enough. You guys just go crush it. Follow me on Instagram at Ricky Carruth. I answer all my DMs there. All the free coaching and scripts and all that is at 0to-diamond.com. Yeah, I mean, that's about it.
Can,
You are
can I ask
awesome.
one question, please?
Sure. Fire away, Ricky, if you got the time.
So just quick question, because for a weekly email, it has to be relevant for that person, for that area, right?
Mhm.
So then you need to kind of stay in the same either city or zip code or whatever, because if I'm calling different, like if I'm calling expires in one city and then I'm calling geo in another, I can't send the same email. Then I need to make custom emails to every group. How do
No,
you
that's
have?
not. No, that's not true, and it's not scalable. So you want to have everything 100% scalable. So you're going to send the same email to everyone. So what you're going to do is if you work different areas, like I do, it's on my weekly email. I've got links at the bottom that go to the different areas, and it goes to a dedicated page on my website that caters to specifically that area. So I can have the listing of the month. I can have restaurant of the month. I can have stats of the month. I can have event of the month. I can, however I'm doing my weekly emails, but then I can always have that box at the bottom that's like, Cade City, Blue County, you know, whatever. And they go to that website and then it basically has everything for sale, or it has stats or whatever you want to show per area. And that way, if you have that box with the different links to the different areas, now we can send the same email to our entire database. And now we're scalable. If you can keep it simple and keep it to where everyone gets the same email, you can scale to the moon, because you're spending 15 to 30 minutes on the email every week. It doesn't matter if there's 500, 5,000 or 50,000 people on it. It still takes 15 to 30 minutes. Now you've completely scaled your entire operation. And now your job is to go out there and talk to as many people as you can to get them into the email database, right? And get them into your system.
Got it. So I need to handle that back end of it, the website that has the different areas that I can send them to.
Yeah, exactly. You have to put in the work to actually create those
Right.
different pages on your website that you can link to your email. But like in the you don't have to do all that in one day. You can actually just create an email that just says, hey, hope you're having an incredible week. Here's a link to all the new listings this week. If you see something you like, let me know. Otherwise, have a good rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon. That could literally be your email. People love new listings. Your email could literally start out as the new listing hub, where people know every Wednesday they're going to get all the new listings of the week from you in their inbox. That could be your thing for a while until the email morphs into, you know, having more information and stats and stuff like that. It's something you can kind of baby step and work your way into. But listen, guys, if people aren't seeing your name in their inbox on the same day of the week every week, you're losing right now. People are in your database buying with other people that you don't even know about. Right. But if they would have seen your name, and it is about open rates, you know, if 20% open it, that's cool. But what's really cool is the 20% who aren't opening it, that see it every week and appreciate it, who aren't ready yet. And in 2 years, they open it 4 weeks in a row and then call you and say, hey, I want to buy this house. Right. So start doing the weekly email and make that the foundation of your entire business, and then sprinkle all the social media and all the other stuff on top of it.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, Ricky, thanks so much for your time, guys. We're 7 minutes over our hour with Ricky. So, man, I can't thank you enough for joining us. This was incredible. I hope everybody got a lot of value out of this, and hopefully we'll have you back again one day. That'd be awesome.
No, I enjoyed it, guys. Good seeing you. D, good to see you, bro.
You too, Ricky. Thanks,
All
man.
right.
Appreciate
You
you.
guys take care.
All
Bye,
right.
y'all.
Bye-bye.